Hi everyone and welcome back. Thanks for investing the time by watching this second video in the free training series from We First. You remember we went through the 8 technology trends reshaping the marketplace, the 3 strategic principles you need to employ to navigate that landscape, and then 6 engagement tactics to win and keep the attention of your customer. I'd shared these insights with you because as a long-time advertising guy, I had gone through this transition in the marketplace myself through consulting, watching companies shift in the mid-90s from traditional media to more online media. And then 4 or 5 years ago when I was a consultant, we suddenly started to talk about social media, but is it a fad and is it going to be gone tomorrow? But now, as we see, whether it's from watching the Olympics or following some election, you can see that social media as a function of our smartphones is a part of our daily lives that isn't going away. And so what I wanted to take you through in this second training video is how do you reach today's customer? What do they want from you? What do you have to do as a business owner so that they will be engaged with your brand and inspired to talk about your products and services online to drive the success of your business? If there is one moment in history that fundamentally changed the way consumers see their role in relation to brands, it was the rise of citizen activism as a function of the Arab Spring revolutions over the last 12 months. And that's because suddenly people saw in very real terms, often communicated by social media itself, the capacity of social media through tweets and YouTube videos to change the political process. And so this citizen activism has inspired this capacity for consumer activism in relationship to brands. That in turn has been reinforced by domestic activism here in the United States. For example, the Occupy Wall Street movement, which has shown regular citizens using social media to organize themselves around what they care about. And then over time, we have seen more and more instances of cyber activism, whether it's through WikiLeaks or whether it's through groups like Anonymous, who have basically imposed transparency on companies, digging up information no matter how deep they want to bury it. And so this is the context in which your customers are growing up. Just imagine for a second that you had grown up with a laptop computer, with a smartphone, in a context of cyber activism, consumer activism, citizen activism, and now you're going to talk to a brand who wants you to buy its product or service. How much more powerful do you feel? How much more entitled do you feel to have an opinion and share it and expect to be heard? And so we've seen instance after instance of this coming true. For example, Netflix backing down over the launch of Quickster when 37% of its share value was lost, when over 700,000 customers deserted the brand when they wanted to separate out into Netflix and Quickster in terms of streaming video. See this lady here? Do you know who she is? She organized an online petition of 300,000 people to protest against Bank of America when they wanted to charge $5 for their debit card fee. Or, for example, Bank Transfer Day, when over 750,000 people transferred over $4.5 billion worth of assets towards credit unions in protest against banking practices. Or, for example, the backlash against Verizon's $2 online payment fee, and they eventually backed down. Or the protests that rose up in and around SOPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, where a lot of congressmen and politicians were behind the act and then backed down when they saw consumer pushback. And it continues to this day. We look at what happened in and around the statements around same-sex marriage by the CEO of Chick-fil-A, and the protests both by those people who came out in support, organizing themselves through social media, and those who came out against it in support of same-sex marriage, who actually went to Chick-fil-A restaurants and sort of kissed each other in celebration of same-sex marriage. And now we see even the most ubiquitous brands like McDonald's opening themselves up to accountability and transparency that was never available before or even imaginable. For example, in Canada, they've launched a website where you can actually pose your most difficult questions to the brand and they will answer them in real time. So for example, somebody asks, how come the food in your restaurant doesn't look the same as your food in the commercials? And they created a video to explain that to their consumers. So there's this unprecedented landscape of dialogue going on between brands and consumers. And to get out ahead of that, to sort of shore up their social license, Brands are celebrating causes and bringing their purpose to life in ways that are meaningful to their customer. So for example, here we see the anti-bullying campaign by Sears. And in the last video, I talked about Coca-Cola Open Happiness, Pepsi Refresh Everything, Starbucks Shared Planet. These are all different brands establishing exactly what they stand for and what their core values are and communicating that to their customers to win over their goodwill, to maintain loyalty over time, to drive sales with their products and services. And so when you think about how you approach the marketplace as your brand, take a leaf out of Nike's book, for example, which is arguably one of the smartest marketers in the world over the long term. Nike has launched the Better World Project, where they are committing their brain power, their brand equity to helping to build a better world. And so you've got this spectrum out there. At one end, you can ignore social media, you can ignore listening to your customers, and you can operate pretty much in the way that media has always operated, in a broadcast, push onto the customer manner. Or you can recognize that the dynamics of social media have fundamentally changed, and you listen to your customer, you listen to what they want, and you tell them what you care about, as we see here with Nike and their Better World Project. So let's go through some of the different steps, 10 in all, that you can take to take a similar approach and shore up your position in the marketplace and connect to your customers in a way that will inspire them to share your brand, its products and services with others using their own social channels. And the first is, it's almost obvious at this point, define your brand. What do you stand for? Not just in terms of a cause, but specifically, what distinguishes you from your competitors? If you're all about sustainability, what is your point of view on sustainability that sets you apart from a competitor who cares about the same issue? Secondarily, communicate that message to your employees and all stakeholders. The biggest mistake you can do is to say you care about something, communicate to the marketplace, and then when the customer interacts with that company, they have a completely different and disconnected experience, and then it just smacks of sort of window dressing or cause washing, and it backfires on the brand through those very same social media channels. Thirdly, create services and products consistent with that purpose. If you're out there saying you care about X, but you make a product that's in competition with that, the consumer is far too media savvy to tolerate that, and they will call you on it, in which case you need to shift your products and services. For example, you see all the salads being introduced by McDonald's. You see Starbucks now introducing juices and fruits as a response to consumer demand. Then, fourthly, you need to sell your brand's vision of the future. What people often forget when they put on their marketing hat is people buy the why before they buy the what. So what is your vision of the world? Is it a better world, as Nike says? Is it like unlocking human potential, as Dell says? Is it, a better environment, as Patagonia says? What is your vision for the world that you promise your customers that by working with you, you will help to co-create? And then make sure your employees and customer service reflect this mission. That is not just in the manner in which they relate to their customers, but also how that mission informs what they talk about. And a classic example is Zappos. Zappos wants to deliver happiness. So when a woman buys a pair of shoes, she can return it, no questions asked, but she can also get countless minutes, hours of customer support on the phone, and she'll also get a recommendation of where she can buy that pair of shoes from a competitor. Why? Because that company is committed to delivering happiness, which in those terms means finding that lady the pair of shoes she wants. Next, apologize if you make a mistake. There are so many public mistakes going on right now, but two of them I'll mention. One was, Kenneth Cole, when he made this sort of insensitive tweet about people being in an uprising, in Cairo because they probably hadn't heard about the Kenneth Cole spring collection. Only 1 hour later, there was a lengthy apology by him on their company website. Or when Qantas Airways asked people to describe and tweet about their luxury experience on Qantas and win, a pair of luxury first-class pajamas from Qantas, they did that the week after they had grounded their entire fleet and people were sleeping on the floor of airports all over the world. And you can imagine the reaction they got. When you make a mistake like that, you apologize. Social media also gives you permission to be human. Constantly monitor and incorporate customer feedback. We always used to sort of, in the marketing world, have those focus groups where you'd all get together in a room and you'd have a pizza and you'd ask someone if they like the pizza, and do they like the pizza with a double cheese, and do they like the pizza with a triple cheese, and who likes the pizza with a triple cheese more than one with a double cheese. Those days are gone. We've got a real-time focus group going on of hundreds, if not thousands and millions of people that you can tap into. So leverage that for your business. Use these different tools out there to listen to what your customers are saying they want. And then by listening to them and incorporating that demand, you will actually build greater loyalty and then inspire customers to become brand ambassadors. We need to think about this differently in the sense that traditional media was one to many. I would put a television ad out there and it would go to hundreds of thousands of people. Now, social media is one to many, in the sense that I will share it with a friend and that friend can reach many people through their own channels. So your goal is to build this army of brand ambassadors that in turn reach out to their networks. So when you find people who are loyal, when you find people who like your product and service, relate to them, build a relationship with them, reward them, and arm them with content through which they can promote the brand and play a part in its success. And then engage customers to co-create products and services and marketing. You know, it's a funny old disconnect that goes on where in the advertising world for a long time we always felt that we knew the customer better than the customer knew themselves. So if the customer knows themselves better than anybody else, why not ask them what they want? Why not give them options? If you're a fashion designer, say, look, here are 2 or 3 ideas for our spring collection. Which do you prefer and why? If you want to launch a new soda, ask them which flavor they prefer. If you want to throw an event, ask them which venue they would rather see the event held in. But involve them, make it a co-creative process because it shows you're listening, it shows you value their opinion, and also they're already invested in the result by the time you go to market. And then finally, periodically restate your brand's purpose. Every so often, let them know what you care about, because that's when you tap into the emotional core with a customer. And once you do that, you unlock the power of emotion to motivate them to share your products and services across their own social channels. And so, if I had to distill those 10 principles down into the 6 C's of community building, this is what I'd say. The first one, clarify. What does your brand stand for? What's its definition? What are its core values? Secondarily, communicate that promise across all channels consistently. Don't do it inconsistently and broadcast your schizophrenia, leaving your customer to wonder who on earth you are and privately wonder whether in fact you're crazy, or you spend all these marketing dollars without any net result. Thirdly, control your brand story, but also share that control with your customer, which is very difficult to do, but many companies are doing it effectively by crowdsourcing a product or service that they are about to launch. Consolidate relationships at a deeper, more meaningful level by talking about what you care about, by inspiring them to volunteer or donate, and you match those efforts so that you're both working towards a common goal. Champion those that are loyal to the brand, those that are amplifying the brand. Thank them, let them know that their role and their voice and their use of their own media channels is valued by the company. Create brand ambassadors and inspire them to build communities. You really need to shift your thinking from trying to broadcast to millions of people to build an army of 1,000 brand ambassadors that are suitably inspired to reach out to their own community on your behalf. And then co-create these exciting shared experiences. It might be an online event that you hold like the Olympics that lives online through all the tweeting. Or it might be tweets online that are then reported online during the offline with your friends. So there's online, offline cross-pollination going on the whole time. And then commit to the mobile, gaming and social world. There is an intersection that is already here, but definitely fast approaching between your smartphone, where people can access the web, they have all their social media channels through which to talk about what they're doing and buying and seeing and sharing. They have games that will keep them motivated and keep upgrading their experience and rewarding them for doing so. So if you want your business to succeed, you have to position yourself at the center of that intersection. So these are the 8 C's of community building. And if you apply those to your business, you will not only create an army of brand ambassadors that will want to build your business with you, But you will start leveraging social media in the way it works best, which is by treating your audience as your supporters, by celebrating them, by inspiring them to use their own channels to promote your product, brand and services, all in the name of a common purpose and shared values. And that's the true power of social media, and that's what you can unlock for your brand.